Hey, how's it going? This is Kevin from Audio Digital. I'm back with another video, and the Grid is seriously OP. It is the most versatile and usable synthesis tool I think available on the market. Now, that doesn't mean that it exceeds in every category possible. It's not the most powerful. Again, I did a video where I was outlining the fact that the most powerful thing is usually not the easiest to use. So when we're balancing out ease of use, musicality, accessibility with power, flexibility, and so forth, I think that the Grid is the best at putting all those things together. So yeah, let's unpack that in this video, and hopefully you will see why you need to get up on some of this Grid stuff here. So if you've been following my channel, you know that I just did a review of Phase Plant, and I really like the synthesizer. It's a joy to use. The UI is very immediate and intuitive. Why wouldn't I rate this over the Grid? Well, I would say that this is something I'm going to use to kind of think a little differently, to experience this particular approach to sound design, and to get to some of those really cool presets that come with it. I think that's important to be able to look at your sound design a little bit differently from time to time and to get some fresh ideas. So that's always going to be a thing. However, if I had to choose, like, what am I going to use if I just need to tackle a problem that may be a little complex and maybe a little tricky, then I'm definitely going to go to the Grid over using Phase Plant, because it's just so versatile and so powerful. So at the end of the day, it's all about, like, what can you do with it? How does it sound? How flexible is it? And I've done some sounds for Bitwig that are part of the factory set for the Grid. I did some things that I don't think I could do in other synthesizers. Let's listen to a few of the things that you can do. And I want to give you an idea of how actually powerful this system is. So there's three types of Grid. There's the Poly Grid that allows you to create instruments. There's the Effects Grid for effects, of course. And then we have the Note Grid, which came out not that long ago this year, that lets you process note information. And of course, as you can see down here, you can incorporate all three of these into one patch. So I can process the incoming MIDI data with the Note Grid. I can create a sound using the Poly Grid, and I can actually come out and change it and modify it as an effect with the Effects Grid. And all of these three grids basically operate the same. They just have different sorts of ins and outs. So you can use all the same tools in all of the grids. That is right there. Just, yeah, who else is doing that? That's really powerful stuff. Let's look at some of the things we can do with that. This is kind of like a physical modeling type of a setup here. I'm using some resonators to get this. And of course, I can use MPE on anything that you make in the Grid. I'm using my Stencil Morph over here. This particular patch would be a little hard to do in most synths, I would say. But because we're going straight modular, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Let's look at something else. Here's a jazz guitar. This one is using FM basically, and I put some noise in it and whatnot. The Grid is also really good for doing phase modulation stuff. It goes further in that area than just about anything else. It should also be mentioned that you can add a bunch of different effects and modulate them with the synthesizer all as one entity, and that is really powerful as well. Now let's look at this music box one I really like. I think I played this in the demo that I made a while back. And we have this noise in the background here. It's not a sample, it's actually being generated. That's why it can start and then it can slow down like the clock, like the music box has run out of energy. And that's because we have another grid that is doing the sound here using these samples to create this ticking noise. So that's another feature that's really powerful. You can stack grids on grids and just store them all as one unique sound. So you're not limited in any way as far as layering goes. You can do as much as you want. I love that sound. The entity is something that's hard to build outside of something like the grid here. It's using several different samplers at the same time and some kind of physical modeling type of comb filter stuff. So I want to show off one of the effects that I did just to show you the complex things you can do. This one is called Radio Station, and I can play a loop through it here. And you can hear that it sounds like it's playing through a radio. I can turn off the kind of radio speaker effect if I want to. I can make it stereo mono. I can change the quality of the speaker. And then I can change the channel. Soccer game going on there. So yeah, that sort of thing is, I think, a little hard to do. Basically, I had an idea to do this, and I was able to do it in the grid. That's really kind of the point of what I'm saying here. If I was trying to do this in another package, I would probably hit a wall and not be able to complete the full idea, but I was able to conceive, like, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to switch between stations. I wanted to sound like an analog radio set. I want to be able to put my track into one of the channels on the radio, and all that stuff I could do fairly easily. And I also wanted to be able to change the speaker quality and so forth. And boom, it's all available. It's all doable. Anyway, but yeah, if you want to know more about it, it's called Radio Station, and it's one of the presets within Bitwig. So you can take it apart. Here's another pretty cool one. This is like a vinyl simulation idea. We got some hum from the motor here. I can play a sample through it. One of the cool things is that I can change kind of the time period. And you can change the levels of the hum. This is kind of a low frequency rumble. You can turn up and down. I can turn up the crackle, but I can also like change the density of the crackle. Make it less often or really overdo it. So these things are possible because we have full control over the effect. It's not a sample. I think the hum is actually a sample, yeah. But the crackle is actually noise being modulated, so I can change the features of it. And because I have full control over all the effects, I can change the EQ and a few of the other effects here in different chains. So yeah, it makes it really flexible and easy to make a nice vinyl simulation. So to understand like why I think Bitwig as a whole and the grid are so appealing is, you know, when you think about why do people like some of the kind of more limited things like NPCs or something like that, right? These devices are less powerful than computers. There's like the teenage engineering, OP1, super limiting, people like that. And, you know, there's the, like the poly-in tracker and so forth. And one of the philosophies that come up is that, oh yeah, people thrive under limitation. And that is true, but it's not just that. It's that we can obtain mastery of something much easier and deeper if the options are fewer. So the thing about Bitwig is that you can master certain concepts and understand how things work. And those skills, those set of skills can take you really deep. For instance, you have the modulation here, and the modulation system works the same way on a VST, on the Bitwig stuff, on you know, the effects, on the instruments. It all works the same way. So if you gain a mastery of using these particular tools, you can use it in any way you want. So Bitwig is all about that. It is kind of like the MPC of DAWs or something like that. Having like a very focused but very deep set of tools that you can use to do pretty much anything you want, or even if you just say, I can do 90% of what I want to do with these 7 tools, that's going to be a lot more creatively fulfilling than being able to do 99% of the things you want to do or might want to do with 150 tools. You're not going to get as much joy out of using all these different tools because you're not going to have mastery over that many different tools. But if you can do a lot of things with a smaller set of tools, that's when you kind of, I think, get into the zone and really start being more creative and having a lot more fun while you're being creative. Now, I've heard people say the grid, it looks cool, but it looks complicated. I can't get into that. Like, how am I going to like make this stuff work? And it just seems crazy. It's super simple. I really like what the team did. They really nailed the ease of use. I can just demonstrate that pretty easily by hitting some notes and it makes some sound. That's a big deal right there, because that's not always what you have when you are using kind of a modular type setup. If I'm in like VCV Rack, or Cherry Audio has a modular system. Of course, Native Instruments has their blocks system. But these are a lot harder generally to use. If you compare it to something like VCP Rack, there's a lot, you know, there's so many different modules you can use. But what I think makes this the Bitwig solution better is that these modules all work the same way. If I'm trying to think about how am I going to accomplish something, I don't want to have to learn another interface or figure out if this particular module by this manufacturer works how I expect it to. Everything's going to work pretty much how you expect it to once you understand what each one does. So in that case, having maybe a smaller set of modules, I think, is really beneficial. So if I want to take this oscillator and drop in a filter, I just go to filter and find the one I want and just drop it like that. And it's just real easy. It's just real easy. And now I want to put an envelope on it, and I just pull that in, connect it like this. So it's super simple, it's super fast. There's a few little tricks here I can show you. The system that they have here where you can just drag and drop things makes iterating fast. So let's say I want another oscillator. Let's go to oscillator. Let's try this union one. I can just drop it in like this. I can drop it in here and it will plug it into the pitch here, which I think is a bit of a mistake actually. It should really go into the this one, but can do something like that. Or let's say I want to run them in parallel. It's really easy just to drop this on here, and then if I hold down control, it'll add the two signals together. So I can modulate and sum together these two oscillators at the same time. So it doesn't really need to slow down at all. Let's say I want to do some parallel filtering. I can duplicate this. It's going to plug both filters in. I can just offset one like that or something. And then I can do this same sort of adding together, but this time I'm going to hold Alt, and that's going to give me a mixer. Let's say I want to distort the oscillators before they hit the filter. That is just drag and drop, like no problem. I can get a distortion here and just drop it right here, and it's done. It's only going to be on this one oscillator if I do it like that. Let me undo that though, and then I'm going to drop it again, but I'm going to drop it here instead. Now it's going to go to both of the filters. So you just learn those few kind of workflow tricks to get your modules all hooked up and ready to go, and you're golden. But here is, I think, the best thing. Now, any other system that allows you to drop in whatever oscillators you want, whatever filters, whatever modulators, whatever, they don't allow you to directly automate those things. So if I am going to go over to phase plant here, and let's say I want to just whatever, automate this band limit here. If I touch it and then look over here, it doesn't like show what I'm doing here because there's a layer in between the dials and everything in the interface and the automation system. So if I right click here and I say assign to a slot, and then I go to slot 1, then I can move this and it'll show up here, automation. It even tells me what it is. And then I can easily come into here and automate something and just go ahead and start automating. It's real fast and easy. And let's do that. Yeah. And then if I go ahead and play, we see it's automated there, and it'll keep looping that. So pretty painless, right? But it's even more painless in the grid. Let me go ahead and put in a clip here that's ready to go. And now I want to automate this here, let's say. So as soon as I touch it and come here, it's already ready to automate. I can just start doing it and do that or whatever. And then if I go ahead and play that clip, you can see it's automating it like a champion. And anything I want to do is that simple. I want to automate this right now. So I can just start clicking on it and do it. Oopsie, there we go. Do that. And then that's also going to be automated, smooth as punch. I don't know what that means. In any case, immediate, easy, quick automation of any parameter anytime. That is only possible in the grid. I think I have a few different things that allow you to add whatever you want, like phase plant, of course. And that's the idea. You can add as many oscillators as you want, so the system doesn't know ahead of time which parameters have which designations. So in order to use the VST spec effectively, it has to put a layer between the automation and the actual dials on the device. However, in Bitwig, there is no need for that because it's all integrated into one system. So you can just go immediately and start automating things. And once that barrier is lifted where it's super easy to come in and do whatever you want, you find yourself doing it more and doing it more creatively. When it's just one touch and then start automating, that's just so satisfying. And yeah, just fun, you know? Yeah, just start drawing stuff, you know? And just see what it sounds like. I think that is worth definitely the price of admission there. Let's just add some of this stuff here. Anyway, just kind of messing around a little bit, but it's fun. It's immediate. It's sweet stuff here, and you don't ever have to stop. You're never going to run into too many relevant limitations. So those little immediate things like being able to hear what it sounds like here instead of there without stopping playback. Yeah, I could be running a sequence right now. And it's just immediate. It's just like, boom. You can't do that in VCV Rack, as far as I know, or, you know, blocks, any of those things. Nothing is this quick. So you're talking about quick, immediate. I can hear it. I can automate it. I can just play back my song and do all this editing at the same time. And it's just going to work. If I have to think too much about what would it sound like if I move this here, but then I have to unplug this and do this and da-da-da, I'm not going to do it, right? Like, I'm just going to be like, it's fine. At some point, there's a threshold where I'm going to just like not want to bother. And this eliminates most of those things. It's just like, I don't know, what does this sound like, you know? Maybe it sounds stupid. Delete it. Keep going. Boom. Done. See that? See what I'm saying? There's a method to this madness. So one last thing I want to go over here is the sampler within the grid, because I think it's just so OP. It's not even, it's insane. And I've done a few videos about this in the past, but I just want to go over again here that this is ridiculous how powerful this is. You can do things here that are really hard or impossible to do in other packages. Now the sampler here doesn't have maybe every power that it could have. It doesn't have the sort of time stretching sort of algorithms. It does have a granular engine that can do some time stretching, but it's not as, doesn't sound as good as some other algorithms. But the cycles here is kind of insane. And one thing I'll show you that you can do with it. And again, like you have the sampler separately, but when you have it in here, you can do things like trigger the playback 1,000 times a second or whatever. And you can, you know, make like a bicycle spoke effect. I did a video about that. You can put distortion per voice after the samples. It just, it's endless. And then of course you can do like physical modeling type stuff with the comb filter that sounds really cool, and use different exciters in the sampler. Just kind of like a, if I bring this in and then excite it with a filter, with a comb filter, turn this up. And then I can just put in a bit of an envelope here. Turn off the pitch. Wow, I love it. I love it, man. This, you can take a whole new, it's just a whole new dimension of things you can do with your samples, and, you know, change the pitch. Change, you know, I could modulate this really easily with velocity, just like that. I'm in love with this thing. Okay, so that's just one of the things you can do with the sampler. And again, like in the other video, I can show you really quickly, turn off this velocity thing here, that when you take something like, I could use this phaser here just to do that. I can plug that into this guy here. What I'm doing now is I'm triggering a little piece of the audio at audio rates according to the pitch of my keyboard. And that makes a cool sound. If I change the sample to something else like this kick, sounds different. And these things can sound very physical. I can modulate the start time. Yeah, man, come on. You could just keep going with that sort of stuff. And it sounds some new sounds, you know, but it's so simple. I'm only using a few modules here, and still using the comb filter here. If I turn that off, we can hear what it sounds like. Turn this off too. Yeah. This also does wavetable synthesis, and we also have a wavetable oscillator, but this does a few things that can't do, and vice versa. So it's really cool to use them both. But in any case, you can do crazy cool stuff, and having the full sampler in here really opens up some of the possibilities and some of the sounds that I made for the Bitwig library. They would be very hard or impossible to do without having all the power of the sampler. So I guess to sum up everything, what I'm saying here is that the grid, in addition to the whole modular system of Bitwig, is a major reason to use Bitwig. Even if you're in another DAW, it's probably a good idea to get Bitwig. And even if you just use it to inspire you or to create some sounds, to get some new ideas, to get some new approaches, is going to be worth it to you. And I think the other features, besides just synthesis and so forth, are really solid in Bitwig, but the grid is a reason to get into it. There's nothing like it, especially if you're into sound design. And I can't imagine anybody really coming close to what they built here in Bitwig anytime soon. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Have you tried the grid? Have you tried the other components to the modular system within Bitwig? How do you think it compares to other systems? Like Phaseplant, like Falcon, like VCV Rack or whatever. I really thank you for watching my videos. Let me know if you're out there by hitting the like button, giving me a comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this sort of content, and that helps to keep the channel alive. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.